Neil, great to catch up. It's been a strange few weeks, A, since you first got the job, and B, since we played Tottenham a long time ago. We'll talk about one or two things that you've had to deal with in the early days of being chief exec, but the great news is football is coming back. It looks that way, almost certainly. Hope everything goes okay health-wise across the country, but we should be back, and that's a real positive.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a huge lift for the country, huge lift for the football world. And a lot of good work and diligence has gone into that work behind the scenes to get us ready, not just from our point of view, but across the Premier League and all the clubs. I think as long as we feel it's safe to do so with the health of the country in mind, I'm confident we'll get there, and hopefully we'll be kicking off against Man City on the evening of the 22nd.
Yeah, you're right to mention health of the company, but it is a done deal, bar anything going wrong. We have the date, so I think we can say it's starting, which is great. And what does that mean, do you think, to A, for the overall good of the game, and B, for Burnley, that we know we're going to play Premier League football again this season and get it finished?
Well, it's a massive step forward. I think clearly over the last couple of months there's been a lot of uncertainty. Uncertainty brings concern. Not just about the health and well-being of staff and players, but the nation. Obviously, there's been lots in the press around the finances and the losses that clubs could encounter and are encountering. So I think the fact that we now have a start date of the 17th of June and will follow quickly and kick up on the 22nd, and the first three fixtures are out. I think that's a massive step forward, and we can all feel really positive about that. And I know from a Burnley point of view, there are fans across the town and up and down the country actually that can't wait to see those 9 games live on their TV screens. So a massive step forward. And I think from our point of view, we're delighted to get there. We've always been, as you know, Pete, strong advocates for getting restarted. We wanted to get back to training. We wanted to get back to playing because we felt that was the right thing to do. It was in the interest of the integrity of the competition. And we're delighted we're almost on the brink of that now.
I was going to say that different clubs have different views, and we understand that. But right from day one, you could say we're in a nice position in the middle of the table. But the manager was right behind playing from day one, and the club as a whole. That's been our message from the start. We want to play, and the players have thankfully been right behind that, haven't they?
Absolutely. So a unified, joined-up approach where from the outset we always felt once it was safe to do so, we want to play. We want to get back to training, we want to get back to competition, and we want to get the Premier League season back on because we always felt that was the right thing to do for our supporters, for our stakeholders. So it's great we're nearly there. And the manager, as you said, has always been a strong advocate of that. And I know him and his staff and the players are delighted and buzzing to be back in training, really.
It's not exactly as we'll know it, of course, because we're going to play behind closed doors. But it's a model that you've had to make work, that the Premier League will have to make work. But there's been a heck of a lot of stuff gone into it, and it looks on paper as it's going to be a good product to take to the supporters.
I think so. I think first and foremost, there's been a lot of work gone in behind the scenes at football clubs and by the Premier League. And I have to say the protocols in terms of the detail is excellent. We've created a sterile, a safe environment as we can down the training ground for players. And as you know, they're being tested twice a week. So that's working. I think clearly the numbers that are coming back from those that are testing positive tell us that that's working compared to those that are negative. So a lot of fantastic work has gone in from lots of people within the football club to get us to that point. And we're now on the brink of moving into what is stage 3, which is playing competition. So I think the product looks good. I think having every Premier League game scheduled on TV on a variety of networks is fantastic for football fans up and down the country. I would hope that lifts the health and well-being of the nation, and I think we know it will. And as I said, Burnley fans can look forward to, and football fans can look forward to a feast of football, from the 17th right through to the back end of July, hopefully. And hopefully we'll get there with no hiccups. Yeah,
I mean, it's not going to be quite the same for supporters, but I think the important thing is the Premier League are very keen, and as a club we'll do our best to try and engage the supporters and make match days feel as real, but, as enjoyable as possible.
Absolutely. I think, first and foremost, it's important to say, we're sorry we can't get supporters in the grounds, and that was always where we want to be, obviously. But with the current pandemic and with the challenges we're facing with social distancing, and by the way, that's the right thing for us to be doing, we just cannot have supporters in the ground, and that unfortunately is the compromise to get football back on. So what we are doing is looking at an enhanced broadcast package. So first and foremost, having all our 9 fixtures on TV is fantastic, and then looking at fan engagement opportunities along the way there. So there's work ongoing at the moment in terms of various things we will look at to enhance the fan experience. And I'm sure the supporters will get a really good broadcast product that they can engage with and they can watch in their living rooms up and down the country.
I know you've been talking to supporters groups through this, Neil, to try and keep the supporters involved and informed, because it's so important, isn't it, for football going forward, and Burnley in particular, that we keep the fans with us, because we will be back at Turf Moor one day, and we want to fill that ground again. So it's important that everybody stays on board and can try and support the team as best they can, and we can support them as best we can.
I think so, absolutely. I think supporters and fans are the lifeblood of any football club. So keeping engaged with them and keeping that dialogue going is really important. As you know, we're really transparent in terms of our communication. We're very open as a football club, or as open as we can be. And that conversation and that dialogue has always been a positive one. I'm regularly in touch with various supporter groups, and we have a supporters board here at the club. We met a couple of weeks ago. We'll meet again towards the end of June. And we obviously do all that via Zoom at the moment. And that's just a good way to engage and get some open, positive messages out in terms of what we're doing and what we're trying to do as a club. And having them engaged in is really important, and getting their feedback.
It is going to be great to see football back, but let's not pretend it's been easy. I mean, the logistics and the things you've had to do, the club staff have been working incredibly hard to make things happen. But equally, it does have an impact on the game, and football and Burnley will come out of it looking slightly differently, I suppose, inevitably, just because of the financial situation. Everybody's going to have to take a little bit of a hit, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's not just football, Pete. That's the global economy, really, and certainly our UK economy is taking a massive hit. And we'll be like any other business. This will cost us. So there's a clear loss of revenue into Burnley Football Club. But this club has been incredibly well run over the last 5, 6, 7 years, and credit to the board and some of my predecessors. And we're going to continue that mantra. But I'm positive. As a club, we're resilient, we're strong, we're unified, and we'll come through this. We'll ride this out, and we'll come through this, and hopefully it won't be too long before we're back to normal.
Excellent. In terms of the actual practicalities, Neil, you talked about the training ground. There's so much extra work having to be done, the protocols, and at Turf Moor as well, just to get games on. Can you give an indication of the sort of work that's had to happen, and the amount of effort and work with the Premier League and with the local authorities to make these games go ahead?
Well, I think there's a massive increase in our hygiene and medical protocols. So what that means, if you break that down, is looking into the detail of access point, exit points, creating that sterile environment. So what do people need to do when they enter the stadium or when they enter the training ground? Obviously, we're exercising social distance, particularly coming into the ground. Yes, we're into contact training, but that group of individuals are tested twice a week, so that mitigates and reduces the risk significantly there. In terms of the stadiums, there's a huge piece of work to look at, and we are working on that at the moment. And hopefully, we will be ready for our first home fixture of the restart on the 26th of June versus Watford. So there's going to be some changes there in terms of locations of staff, in terms of potentially location of the away team when they arrive, in terms of access points for broadcast, in terms of access points for security, for staff. So there's a huge amount of detail going into that, and we'll hopefully get that into the Premier League over the coming week or so, and we'll move forward and get ready for those games. It's just creating that safe, sterile environment for everybody, and mitigating the risk as far as possible. We'll never get rid of it totally, but it's mitigating it and reducing it to as little as possible. And I think we're doing that. We've got a great team of staff here at the football club behind the scenes who are on that, who are working very diligently on that piece of work.
To the watching viewer, perhaps that won't be so apparent when we kick off at Turf Moor. The only thing that'll look different will be no supporters in the ground, sadly, as you've alluded to there, but for the right reasons. But things, again, happening behind the scenes to try and make it a good experience. I don't know how much you can say at this moment in time, but to try and make Turf Moor look slightly different, but hopefully it'll still be an exciting arena for football to be played in. Absolutely.
So, we're looking at a number of things. So, whether we look at crowd noise coming through via the broadcast package, via people's living rooms, that's an option. We're looking at some sort of lower tiered wrap on in the stadium, so that is likely to happen, and we're working on it at the moment. So you just don't see empty seats. So I think that visually that'll look good. I think we're looking at a number of things in terms of additional access to the manager and players pre and post match. And then some enhancements around camera points around the ground as well internally. So, there's a number of things going on in that space, and by no means that's the finished article, but those are the things that are being explored, and we'll see if we can deliver those for the first game.
I imagine when you were appointed to this position, Neil, which wasn't so long ago, that obviously nobody knew this was going to come up. I know you used the phrase baptism of fire, and rightly so. It's been an incredible time. Nobody could be prepared for this, yourself, any staff, the whole sport, really. I mean, just unprecedented times. How big a challenge has it been?
It's been a big challenge, but it's been something I've certainly felt up for the challenge. I feel young and vibrant enough to take on that challenge, otherwise I wouldn't have done it in the first place. I think the staff have been brilliant. It's great to work with Sean and liaise with his staff as well. I think we're definitely a unified and club that works very collaboratively, and that's brilliant, and that really helps us in situations like this. I think I've used the word measured and common sense, I think, over the last couple of months, and I think that's how I try and go about my work, and I think we've done that as a football club. We've taken on the information, we've looked at situations, we've discussed them, we've made sensible decisions for the best interest of the football club. We've kept a lot of that in-house. So, we're saying stuff when we need to say things as a club, and trying to communicate with our supporters in a transparent way and in an open way when we need to do so, but I don't think we've overdone that. So I think just stay measured and having common sense in every situation, because as you said, Pete, this is totally unprecedented. There's no benchmark for this. There's no rule book for this. We've had to deal with the challenges that have been put upon us on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis. But when I look back over the last few weeks, we've come an awful long way in 2 or 3 weeks. And I think where we were on the 23rd of March and where we were early April and the back end of April and beginning of May, we've come an awful long way. We've had to be patient, but to be at a point now where we're on the brink, we're just over a week away from Premier League football restarting, is testament to all the work that's gone on behind the scenes and the link the Premier League have had with the DCMS and the government. That has been fantastic. And that relationship has really helped get us to where we are today.
So 9 games to go, Neil. We won't tempt fate about what may or may not happen on the football field, but Sean and his players have done a tremendous job to get where they are, 10th in the table, and the points tally we've got. How big a deal will that be for Burnley to finish this season as a Premier League club and be able to build to go forward to, we don't know when next season will start, but in years gone by, this club might have really struggled through this time, but I think it's a testament to the fact that, fingers crossed, we can ride this through, as you're saying, come out of it in a strong side, but with a bright future to look forward to.
Yeah, I think it's testament to the job Sean has done and his staff and players that we're sitting 10th in the league. Another fantastic season. We can go into the 9 games. We're capable of winning football matches. There's no doubt about that, obviously. I'm by no means going to start, speculating on the football side, but I'm confident we can go into those games and be very competitive. We know we have a fantastic manager who will prepare the squad incredibly well with his staff, so they'll be ready to go. And we'll go into those games and see what they bring. I think once we've completed the season, we'll move into the summer period. Discussions are ongoing regarding the start of next season. So there's a window of opportunity really to get that away, and I'm confident we can do that with our counterparts, clubs up and down the country. And then we've got to keep taking the club forward. If you look at the trajectory of the club over the last 5 years, there's a piece of work around maintaining that, but in some areas it's building upon that, and there are some key pieces of work to be done. And we've got to, from the boardroom into myself and the senior executive team, we've got to navigate the club through those challenges, and I'm positive we can do that. Yeah,
that sounds fantastic, Neil. I think, as you say, tricky times, but a bright future ahead. And we look forward to it. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for your time, Pete.